It's that time of the week again, and it is my review of Doctor Who Series 12, Episode 7 already. We've only got 3 episodes left until the series ends. So that's sad, or is it? Not as sad as last year, last season, that's safe to say. Anyway, can you hear me today? I've just watched it literally 20 minutes ago. So my chance to give you my verdict on it, and I'd love to hear your thoughts below. So last week, I wasn't a huge fan of Praxeus. I thought it was all right. I thought there wasn't much I particularly enjoyed, like outright loved about it or liked. There were a few things I appreciated. There were a few, and I don't think it was bad at all. I just think it lost the way that it was setting up to be. I think it had potential in the first half and was setting up to be something really interesting, but lost out in the second half because it fell apart, because it felt like it was doing things worse than it could have been doing. And it's exactly the same again here. Can You Hear Me starts off really well. It starts off as a really interesting, unique, exciting, well thought out premise, and it has a lot of intrigue to it in the first sort of 20-25 minutes. The first half, yeah, pretty good, and really promising. And then when it gets to about the point where the Immortals arrive on Earth, it really falls apart. It feels like it's trying to do too many things. It's trying to be too many things. And it just lost its way, really. There's a lot of elements I really liked. I really liked the exploration of the characters' dreams and fears, which really showed us how the companions were feeling towards travelling with the Doctor and how their thoughts have changed. And I think it was really good because we got to explore how their characters have changed and how their thoughts towards travelling in the TARDIS have changed since we first met them. And I really think that the conversations at the end of the episode, when we get to see Graham, Ryan and Yaz contemplating whether to continue travelling, is really interesting, and it shows the consequences of travelling with the Doctor. Even though it is kind of a bit weird that if they don't want to be off on breaks, why couldn't the Doctor just drop them back to the place where they'd left from? Because we know from previous series that it can do that, so that's a bit weird. But yeah, it was interesting. Good to get some character development, although sometimes that character development felt out of place. Sometimes the character development worked. I thought Graham's character development was really nice. The fact that he was struggling with his cancer and his fears of it coming back, I thought that was really interesting. And to see Grace again, and perhaps him blaming himself for Grace's death, that was really interesting. I guess Ryan's death? I wish. Ryan's dream too was interesting. That was good. I liked the way how do I put it? I like the way how it integrated the Orphan 55 plot into his own fears. The fact that he's worrying about himself and his friends being responsible for the apocalypse that is seen in Orphan 55, and we see the dregs coming through, and Tybo and his fears of Tybo growing along as old. And I think that was a really interesting thing there. I think it's really interesting to see how travelling in the TARDIS affects other people. Yaz, don't get me wrong, it's good to get Yaz development, but it just felt a bit random. It sort of felt like it took away from the episode because there was this really unique, tense, original mood about it, there was this really interesting tone about it. I think the Immortals were pretty cool, at least at the start. And then you suddenly drift into this random new episode. And it just feels completely detached, and it just completely kills that sense of what came before. And this episode wasn't scary. It had the potential to be scary, but wasn't. And it could have been done scarily, but it wasn't really. It started off, quite a scary atmosphere, but it didn't. It sort of collapsed on that sense, and it had potential to be better. But yeah, I think Yaz's plot sort of fell apart. Don't get me wrong; it's important to focus on mental health, and I like how they did touch on mental health, but I think with character study, it needs to relate to the story in some way, and that just was random. It just happened. There was no sense that was a continuing arc, that Yaz had mental health issues before. There was not really any sense of that before. It just felt like a random jump back and a random detachment from the episode itself. I think Yaz's secret was advertised in the series, but it was disappointing. Now, there's a thing you can do. You can make character study good because you can make it integrate into the story. I thought Ryan's character study was good here because you had Ryan and the way that him being gone has affected everyone around him, and how he feels guilty about that, and how his friend is saddened to lose him. And you've got Graham, whose cancer has come back, and he's fearful that he's running away from it. But then Yaz's thing, it just sort of doesn't relate to the story at all. It doesn't relate to Travels in the TARDIS. It's just a random thing from 3 years ago, and it feels really out of place. It could have been good. They could have done something better with Yaz. I think it just felt like a bit random, a bit of a random thing that happened there, and it really didn't work for me. I didn't feel any emotion. I think it was meant to be an emotional, impactful scene. I don't know. I do like the exploration of the characters' fears, and as I say, Graham and Ryan's worked really well, as did 13's. I think whenever they mention the Timeless Child, I'm always on the edge of my seat. I'm always thinking, yes, I'm really intrigued to find out what this is, and what it's all about, and why it keeps recurring, and how it relates to the Lone Cyberman, and Captain Jack, and the Ruth Doctor, and the Master, and all the story arc elements that are going on. And hopefully we will find out what that is in the series finale, because it's called The Timeless Children. So yeah, that was nice. It was nice to have some story arc elements, and I think this one would have worked well after Fugitive Vigilante, because it would have made a bit more sense that the Doctor's haunted by this. Not the Ruth Doctor, though. There's not really any reference to that. I thought that would be a nightmare, but Timeless Child is good. That's a good nightmare. Ian Gilder's character, it's good that he's an Eternal. I like that. I like that he's that's a nice little reference to the past, because the Eternals were something from Classic Who, vaguely referenced a couple of times in New Who, I think. There was some nice little references there. There was Celestial Toymaker and the Black and White Guardians, they were referenced. But I think the whole resolution of, for starters, the Aleppo stuff, and secondly, the stuff with the Immortals, it felt really shoddy. It just felt like it ended abruptly. They needed to get them away. They had too much threat going on, so they just randomly threw in a few Deus Ex Machinas and just ended it there. Whether those Eternals are going to come back into it, and that's where they weren't properly dealt with, or whether it was just Chibnall and Charlene James not knowing how to resolve that, I don't know. The animated section was a bit weird. it's nice that they did something unique. I guess I liked it. It just felt really just random. And I don't know whether I'm trying to excuse the story here and the pacing of it, but maybe it was trying to be weird in terms of the order to try and resemble a dream. I don't know. That may just be a random pattern I did, but I doubt that's the thing. So yeah, I'd say again, like last week's, it's a 5 out of 10 because it had a lot of potential, real potential there, and it showed promise. It could have been amazing. It could have been a tour de force. And at the start, I was thinking, this is going to be a classic. This is going to be the best one of the series. And it sunk right down after the Immortals were introduced, really, despite them being cool at first. But yeah, let me know what you think below. Next week, it's The Haunting of Villa Dietari. There's only 3 more episodes of the series left, which is quite sad, but hey ho. That's how it goes. It must end one day. And yeah, we've got Haunting of Villa Dietari, which we believe it's the Mary Shelley one, and we believe it's got Cybermen in it, maybe. Or a Cyberman, the lone Cyberman. There's lots of rumours going around that it will be that one, as it's the Mary Shelley one, and the Cybermen would inspire Frankenstein. They haven't officially announced that yet, so we don't know. We may just be getting our hopes up for nothing. And then the finale, lots of Cybermen, and that's Ascension of the Cybermen and Timeless Children. So yeah, I was thinking this one was going to be fantastic, or I was thinking this one showed promise to be fantastic. I didn't go in thinking, this is going to be definitely fantastic. I didn't go in with skyrocketed high hopes. It wasn't I was disappointed. It's just that I wasn't a huge fan of a lot of things this episode was trying to do and be, and the way it was done. It had potential to be so much better. But it was creative. It was interesting. It had promise. So yeah, scores so far. I think it's Spyfall got a 7. Orphan 55 got a 4, 3 maybe 3. 3 would make sense because yeah, 3. Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror got a 6. Fugitive of the Doom got a 9. Praxeus got a 5. May move that up to a 6, I don't know. And Can You Hear Me got a 5. Again, may move that up to a 6, I don't know. But yeah, Series 12 is a hard one to judge. It's got some great elements. It's improved. But on the other side, it's got some poor elements that it hasn't improved on. So it's all up to these final 3 episodes, particularly the finale, because there's a lot resting on that. And if they resolve the Timeless Child then rather than later on in this era, then it's going to be pretty hard to make everyone impressed by the resolution to that arc. So yeah, there's a lot of weight resting on Chibnall and the team's shoulders here in the final 3 weeks, and I hope it's worth it. I hope the finales make this a really strong, solid season on the whole, because it is a solid series. It's just problematic and not as good as it perhaps could have been. So yeah, thank you. Please like and subscribe, and I will be back for Haunting of Villa Dietari next week. Bye.